Watch and learn, baby.
Hello everyone, Gene Molina here, Natural Tennis Solutions. We are back, and now we're going to talk about the optimal contact zone for our body. Now, as you can see, I have a few strips here on the ground, and what I want to show you is that this line represents the 0 degree line, or if we're on a clock face, we have 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. This will be the 90 degree line, or 12 o'clock. Now, in between these here, we have what is going to be either the 45 degree angle, or if you want to use the clock face, on this side we have around 1:30, and on that side we have around 10:30. So what does this have to do with our contact point? Right now, if I show you my arms out, let's pretend my body is now this setup here. So 0 degree line, 90 degree line, and the 45s. So my arms in this position are at their optimal hitting position. This is where I'm going to get the most leverage that I can get while swinging at this tennis ball. If my arms are more toward the 3 and the 9, not as much leverage. If they are in toward this here, toward the 90, not as much leverage. Not as comfortable either. So I want to be at this position. Another piece that I wanted to add into this video has to do with stances. When I get into the open stance, which is this, I'm just facing forward. This is my open stance. My hips are at the 0 degree line. When I rotate back to actually set this racket, so I'm going with my hip first, I'm rotating around, and now at this position, my chest is actually parallel to that back wall or side wall. So from this position, if I were to start swinging back forward again, my contact point would get here pretty comfortably. This is one of the reasons why the open stance is pretty popular. It's a comfortable place to get good leverage from, and it also takes less time to set up. If I were to turn myself all the way here, it takes longer for me to get here to set up to swing than it is for me to just stay in the open stance and do this. So now, if I set my body up at a 45 degree angle now, so my hips are now facing the 45 degree angle, and I go into this optimal hitting position again. From this position, now all my body has to do is turn about 45 degrees to get into that comfortable hitting zone where my chest is actually at the 0 position and making contact there. So now, from this setup, if I were to do my normal setup, I'm going here, I'm rotating around, I'm coming in here, and again, I'm comfortable right now. This is where I get my leverage. I'm very comfortable. All right, now here's where it gets tricky. So, neutral stance. This would be a neutral stance. I am facing this side now. So if I turn myself to this side, I set up with my contacts. Now, in order for me to get my chest into the 0 degree line, I actually have to rotate this much. And right now, that is not very comfortable on my back or my waist. Doesn't feel very comfortable to go that far. So if I were to start in my ready position, turn myself into the neutral, rotate my body to get all the way around here, this is the position I'm in, and I am not comfortable here. This does not feel comfortable on my body. I know that this is going to come around, but it does not feel comfortable. It takes longer to get there. So now the last one, which is the closed stance. Closed stance would be this. So now from this position, in my optimal hitting zone, this does not feel comfortable. I know for a fact when I try to turn and get this contact zone to happen. So now, in order to get my chest to 0, my arm actually has to come across my body a little bit more, which is not a good position to be in. Not for our optimal leverage. We don't want this. The main thing I want you to understand here is that time is a luxury in tennis. So you're trying to give yourself time. When you give yourself time, that means you're comfortable and you actually can swing very loosely and control yourself. But when you don't have time, that's when the muscles start to tense up. And when you don't have time, that's when things go wrong with your swing. So you want to be in your most comfortable position. So now setting up in more of a 0 degree or open stance, or setting up in more of a semi-open or a 45 degree turn, actually sets you up to get to your optimal contact zone very comfortably without really losing leverage. Leverage is lost. Every time this arm starts to get closer to my chest, I lose leverage. Every time it gets too far from my chest, I lose leverage. So I'm explaining that there is an optimal place for contact. I haven't measured this distance, I haven't measured it, but I'm assuming if I measure this distance that it's going to be a pretty even distance from this arm here and this arm here. They're going to have a pretty even distance from my body. Obviously the distance will be even here too, but the leverage becomes less. Same thing here. Distance would be the same from here to here, but the leverage becomes less. We want to optimize our leverage. Okay, so please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions, of course, comments, just get to the point of that optimal hitting zone. If you can get there, you'll feel very comfortable. And again, it's all about leverage. See you on the next one.